These are a bit different.
Well, yeah, I didn't actually bring them specifically for the recording.
Oh, my goodness.
So
That is a real disappointment.
yes, that's often the reaction of most adults to the party ring. What you've got there...
These are Fox's Party Rings Under the Sea minis.
Yeah, so they're shaped like fish. I don't know if you noticed that. They're shaped like fish.
I have. Not only have I noticed that, how can they be stale in the packet?
What we've got at home is a tin. Actually, a Huntley Palmers tin for those Reading locals. And we do have, I think, 25% of our listeners currently based in Reading, which is no surprise because that's where we're based. But so 25% of our listeners may recognise the Huntley Palmers reference because, of course, that's one of the things Reading's famous for is Huntley Palmers biscuits.
Biscuit factory.
The biscuit factory, and there's a lot of
venue.
Well, no, there's the venue now, which is called the Biscuit Factory.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a block of flats elsewhere in town called the Biscuit Factory. The Biscuit Factory seems to be a common sort of theme when naming buildings in Reading because there was a biscuit factory.
But if you live at the Biscuit Factory...
Yeah, it's not the Biscuit Factory, though. Neither of them are the actual Biscuit Factory, just to be clear. So
this is stupid.
But Reading's proud of its biscuit heritage. You can still buy... And I saw this the other day. You can still buy the Huntley Palmers biscuits from Reading Museum, so they still make them.
No.
Now, I've got the tin because my parents bought me one of those tins. I don't know whether they got it from the Reading, because they don't live in Reading, my parents. I don't think they did get it from the Reading Museum. I think they got it off of the internet, probably, because even though they're septuagenarians, they do know how to use the internet, as many of their generation do. So my parents bought me this Huntley Palmers biscuits in a few years back, and we ate the biscuits therein. They were very nice. But I kept the tin, quite like the tin. And we now use the tin for storing sort of treats for my daughters, what they like to refer to as their desserts. But they are things like those mini...
What's the French?
Or dessert. It's basically the same.
Dessert.
Dessert. You know, dessert. Anyway, they... so in there... There's you've got a little bag of party rings, well, party fish.
I don't like these.
No one likes. They don't like them. My children don't like. That's why you've got them, because they've
the biscuit's different.
They're unwanted by my children, hence why they were available for your consumption today.
The biscuit's different, though. It's awful.
No, they're not nice. But I think you'll find they do taste the same as the party rings. They're exactly the same. They're not. It's just not a nice biscuit.
But it says that we'd love to hear from you. If you have any feedback, simply contact us at Careline. Fox's, Burton's companies.
I mean, feel free to do that after
I'm
the
going
show.
to give them a ring.
Don't do it now, though, because I don't think that would
no, it's not going to do
add anything to the recording. Although perhaps it might. Perhaps that's a direction we could go in. But no, they don't like the party rings or the party fish. What they currently like largely are the iced gems. I don't know if you come across them.
I do. I love an iced gem.
Yeah,
because
they're mainly sugar, and I think that's that's right in the
wheelhouse. Nice and crunchy, and the biscuit base isn't sweet.
It's not sweet, and it's also, there's not much of it. It's mostly the sugar on a tiny biscuit base. So they like that. Although the elder of my two children, Matilda, I'm gonna name my child.
Why not?
Because I think that's fine. I don't know why I've avoided.
She's not going to have to go into witness protection, is she?
I don't think so. I don't know why I've avoided naming my children. Matilda and Jemima. Matilda's the 7-year-old. Jemima's the 4-year-old. Matilda's now moved on from the pie. She still likes it, an ice gem. But she now prefers a butter-kissed popcorn. I don't know if you're familiar with their work.
Yeah, I am familiar with their work.
That's
it's like a glazed popcorn, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll be honest. I quite like that too. I think I'm not indifferent to the popcorn, the toffee popcorn.
It doesn't really answer the question about why blocks of flats have been called the Biscuit Factory.
No, I don't know why that is. That's probably something we could research. Or maybe, because as I say, 25% of our listeners are based in Reading, as far as I can tell. Perhaps one of you could write in and tell us.
I'd love that. What's the teacher favourite, would you say, on the biscuits? Or are you not?
I don't think there is a teacher favourite. I think all biscuits are beloved by teachers. I think the calibre of the meeting you attend is often defined by the calibre of the biscuit. Yeah. And you know that some, if it's, nothing wrong with a packet of custard creams, bourbons, malted milks, they're fine. And if there's no biscuits, I'll be in the meet. I'll stay in the meeting, but part of me's left already. If it's sort of
tell you what it is, it's normally the Crawford selection pack, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and that will keep me interested to an extent.
Well,
But if someone comes in with, I don't know, a Tesco's Finest or a Sainsbury's Taste the Difference packet of double, triple chocolate cookies.
Yeah, they only tend to be small meetings, though. So.
They are. And that's sometimes that's somebody saying this meeting isn't really a meeting you want to be in, and I know that you don't want to be in it. Thank you for coming. In order to compensate you for coming to this meeting you didn't want to be in, I've got some slightly nicer biscuits for you.
But I always remember the worst biscuit selection, which became no biscuits and no tea, and then just became water vended from the tap into plastic cups, was local authority meetings.
Yes, they're always low calibre, yeah.
Now, on one hand, that's incredibly reassuring for the listeners who'd be sort of terribly worried about taxpayers' money being squandered on, even a Crawford selection pack, let alone the Foxes or anything like that. But for anyone attending the meeting, I think it was just made something that was probably not going to be overly stimulating, even more challenging, I think. The best lunches I had were at the Department for Education.
I've never been to one of those. I've not.
Oh my word! Yeah, they'd. I don't think it was in-house. Let's put it that way. But it would be whisked in on trays, for us to help ourselves to. Yeah. So I didn't, seeing as it's the same taxpayers' money, I thought that was.
That's true. Yeah, because I was thinking the non-taxpayer events when you actually have to pay to go to which is very rare that someone will green like that, or you actually get to go to one of those sort of training events that's sort of not free and costs a few £100s, and they might think that I don't get to go to many of those, but I've been to one or two in my time because it has been deemed beneficial potentially that I know the stuff that they're and that is then the lunches are fantastic. I mean, they're on their next level. I mean, and that's because it's not taxpayer. I suppose it is still taxpayers' money because the school.
Yeah, who do you think was paying for your place?
The school has funded it, but in terms of the decisions being made by the people running the course, well, they've obviously not been minded to worry about that too much. Whereas I think when it is run by the local authority, they probably do have to take that into account. Right, well, shall we get on with the show?
Yes, why not? And I think today we'll flip roles and I'll call the register. My name's Ben and I know I'm present. Perhaps in body and not spirit, but let's call the register. Have I got a James Burke?
Oui, je suis là. See, that's all you ever really needed to do. You overthought it. All you ever needed to do was say it in a different language.
Yeah.
It's not high comedy.
No.
It's simple.
Talking of not high comedy, have you got a postcard?
I do have a postcard, yeah. I've got a postcard. Thanks for introducing it. I know you don't even like these bits. It's from the same Amazon pack. What I've got here is a picture of Cookie Cat. It's a picture of a cat dressed like a cartoon cat, dressed as an astronaut. He's a refugee of an interstellar war. And he left his family behind. I don't know if that's from an actual cartoon that actually existed. I hope it is in some ways, because otherwise it's completely pointless, isn't it?
Well, I was going down the completely pointless avenue.
Yeah, no, I think it is. He's got one pink eye and one sort of white eye. He's wearing a pink spacesuit.
He looks very pleased with himself, that's for sure.
Well, I don't think he looks quite sad. He's left his family behind. There's an exclamation mark on that. He's I don't think you listened at all.
I don't think if you left your family behind, you'd wear a pink suit, to be honest with you.
Well, it's safety first, and maybe that's the only one that they had available that would met the requirements of the interstellar travel. He's a refugee. I think what you've done there is because you're not a fan of the postcards, you've switched off there completely.
Well, I can see his one pink eye. That's enough for me. You've
missed the story, and I want to reiterate, he's a refugee of an interstellar war.
Yeah.
Have you got no...
Well, we're going down a whole different avenue. You like sci-fi. I can't stand it. So...
Well, no, I mean, because we're both enjoying a coffee at the moment, and we're both drinking from Star Wars mugs.
Yeah, and I object to it.
You object to it, but it's my coffee, and I give it to you, because we're on location.
Well, when I say objected to it, I didn't object so strongly that I wouldn't drink the contents of it, but I try not to get too into that.
But I mean, the reason we're drinking my mug from my mugs and not from your mugs is because... we're on location this week. We do get a lot of questions. I've had this question asked of me a few times. Where do you record? Now, I find that frustrating because we've actually answered that on previous episodes. So the people asking that question can't actually have been listening to the show.
Yeah.
But the curiosity is nonetheless. But normally, to be clear, normally we do record in your bedroom. And
No.
I think people think we do record in work. We don't. We record on a Saturday night, usually, in your bedroom. Now, the reason in your bedroom is because it actually there's lots of reasons why that would be a good place to record. We've talked about that. The sort of the acoustics of a bedroom are particularly effective. But we are on location in an actual school, because we are in the school we work in as we're recording this. But the reason we're able to do that today is because it's the half-term holidays.
Yeah.
And so we've taken advantage of the fact we both come in to do some work anyway. We've had a little break from our work. We've set up the microphones in my office, put down some blankets to recreate that bedroom acoustic feel. So we find ourselves in quite an interesting position, actually, this week, Ben, because this is the first time since we started making this podcast that we're making an episode pretty much the same week it's going to go out. We've kind of we got a little bit ahead of ourselves on the recording.
We did.
And now we're actually recording an episode on a Thursday. This will go out the following Monday, because we've sort of caught up with ourselves. So that's why it is actually currently half term. So given that we've not been in school for the best part of a week, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I went, I did a long journey, 3.5 hours each way, which is probably not a long journey if you live in Australia, but in the UK that's considered to be a very long journey, to see a couple of friends who I used to work with. So that was a very nice thing to do. But I didn't much enjoy the journey there or back, not because I don't love driving, because I do, but the car was oscillating between overheating from a water overheating point of view and overheating from an oil temperature point of view, and trying to manage those two states on an old car that was 3.5 hours each way was a bit of a... but if I tell you that was the high point, other than this, maybe that gives you some sort of insight into my life.
Well, I like to think this is the high point, Ben.
Well, but I did say...
Other than this, I didn't hear that.
You do usually accuse me of not listening, but on this occasion I'm going to level the same charge.
Well, I think that's been a recurring problem throughout all of the episodes, is that we tend to not listen to each other while we're talking and only listen to our own bits.
Yeah, but what have you been up to? Because I'm sure it's going to be more podcastable than that, surely.
Well, how does one define podcastable? I don't know. But what I do know is that this weekend just gone, the bank holiday weekend that we've just, and the weather was lovely, as you'll recall. It's still lovely. I mean, I don't know. If you don't like the heat, I suppose it's not lovely. But this week just gone, I met with my family, my parents, my sisters, their spouses, my nieces and nephews, in a place called Centre Parcs. I don't know if you've heard of the Centre Parcs chain.
I certainly have.
Now, I'm not someone I've never been to Centre Parcs before this weekend, just gone. But it was my parents' golden wedding anniversary. Which is some achievement.
Congratulations to Ranbir and Jill.
I'm sure they're grateful if indeed they're listening. So I went to Centre Parcs, which is to say, I'm not normally in that sort of financial bracket, but my parents, it was their golden wedding anniversary. They funded it for all of us, which was I mean, that makes them sound wealthy. I don't remember them being wealthy when I grew up. And it was a really lovely weekend. I mean, there's no sort of horror stories there. It was nice. We all got together. We celebrated both their golden wedding anniversary and my father's birthday the following day. And it was a lovely weekend. We all had a lovely time. But I'd never done Centre Parcs. I don't know if you've ever done Centre Parcs.
Unfortunately, I have.
Unfortunately. Well, no,
I hated it.
I didn't hate it. I quite enjoyed it. I mean, I think largely because my family were there. But how I would describe Centre Parcs, having never been before and being completely uninitiated, is a rather beautiful prison.
Yes.
Insofar as once you've arrived, you really can't leave. And I think I didn't know that. I think you probably do need to know that before you get there, because I did feel a little bit confused and disorientated for the first sort of 12 hours on site. But once I got acclimatised, a very lovely weekend was had by all.
I'm glad you had a lovely weekend. I genuinely am. Okay. But to me, the idea of being locked in to an outdoor activity centre, for me, I'd rather go to prison.
Yeah, well, I know, and I can understand that sentiment.
Absolutely. I mean, all the things forced jollity in an outdoor activity centre for me would be.
And I mean, we didn't, obviously we were there just for a weekend, and we didn't we went to the swimming pool quite a lot, but we didn't really do many of the outdoor activities that you mentioned. But there's quite a premium attached to those activities. So the already not cheap accommodation, it's not, well, basically it's not a cheap holiday. Yeah, I don't know that I would. I think the real reason I enjoyed it was because I do quite like my family, and I don't get to see them very often. My family do listen. Well, I don't think they all listen religiously. I don't think there's that level of. But my nephew Finn absolutely loves the show.
Great, hello Finn.
And I said I'd give him a shout out, and you've given him a shout out too there. And he did say, and you'll like this, Ben. He said you must be a really funny guy.
So hello Finn. Good to have you along, as they say.
Anyway, shall we? Because I found a list for us, Ben.
Sounds unusual.
It's not the norm, I know, but I thought it might be fun to go through a list of things this week and see if we can make sense of it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Obviously, we try, sometimes successfully, to sort of focus this show on the world of teaching and education.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our listeners, not all of our listeners, it turns out, but some of our listeners are actually teachers. And so I found a list on the where I found it was a provider of DBS checks.
Right, disclosure and barring service.
Yeah. What's they used to be called?
CRB
checks, yeah. And then
the
it became
Criminal
DBS Records Bureau.
Yes, that's right.
And then it became the DBS, Disclosure and Barring Service. This is nothing to do with what they do, though.
Right.
But they are obviously aware that a lot of the people who will need to get a DBS check work. Not all people. I mean, there's lots of professions where you need a DBS check, but they'll be aware.
Taxi drivers, don't they?
Yeah, I mean,
there's all sorts of.
One imagines the police would need.
Oh, definitely.
So there's lots of professions and volunteers and all kinds of things where you might need a DBS check, but they're aware that quite a large proportion of their clientele are teachers.
Yeah.
So they thought they'd come up with a helpful list for teachers.
Oh, good.
To help them to do their job and to understand their job.
Because, a lot of. Yeah. So whether you're a teacher or whether you might need some sort of what they like to call an enhanced disclosure, then this is going to be useful, isn't it?
Well, no, this is just for teachers.
Oh, this is just for teachers.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but if you were in one of those other categories, I mean, you're still going to glean some really useful information from this, aren't you?
I don't think so, no. I think this is... No, well, I'll tell you the title of the list.
Right, well, that would be helpful.
Yeah, because you're second-guessing what it might say, and obviously...
And interrupting.
Which is very unlike you. You don't often interrupt. So, no, the list is specifically aimed at teachers, and it's called 10 Challenges of Teaching and How to Overcome Them.
Oh, my word. So this is the Disclosure and Barring Service thinking, right, well, a major part of our clientele are teachers. So what we're going to do here is we're not just going to talk about DBS checks, but we're actually, a bit like the stationery provider, we're going to sort of sit down as a group and we're going to think, okay, well, what sort of 10...
Yeah, exactly that. This is not the Disclosure and Barring Service that have come up with this list. It's a company that facilitates.
No, that's very important that we need they facilitate. So they're one of these companies, sort of third parties.
Yeah, it's one of those. So if you need a DBS check, an enhanced DBS check done, you can contact this company and they'll take care of all the admin.
Well, we need to be very clear on that. This is not the Disclosure and Barring Service.
Probably they are pitching their services more towards teachers, but I don't think exclusively. But they have identified 10 challenges of teaching and how to overcome them. Now, that's really useful, I think, if you work in teaching. So I know what those 10 challenges are, because perhaps you think there's more than 10.
I was thinking there were more than 10, and I'm thinking in my mind what those.
No, you're incorrect.
I'm already letting them percolate in my mind.
Yeah, no, you're incorrect in thinking there's more than 10. This list is very clear. It says there's 10.
Right.
But also, what's really good, and I want you to bear in mind the title as we go through: 10 Challenges of Teaching and How to Overcome Them. How to overcome them.
Right.
So it's not just telling you.
Not just identifying the problem. What's the solution?
It's got solutions as well. Now, because that's really important, because if you're just going to come up with a list of 10 problems, you're going to put people off. So it says, teaching is a phenomenal career. It's gratifying to make a difference in the youth.
100%. As the youth would say, 100%.
That's a well-written sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's gratifying to make a difference in the youth. Yet it's also a career that comes with its challenges that many aren't aware of. To the everyday person, teaching children seems like a breeze.
I'm not sure sure they think that, actually.
I've never met anyone who thought. I mean, most people say, "I can't understand how you do it, mate." That's normally the response I get. The misconception comes from the idea that teachers get school holidays and half days. But that's far from the truth. Well, no, it's not far from the truth that we get school holidays. We do get the school holidays. We quite like them.
I'm not sure what the half-day reference
half
is.
days, I mean...
would you like to do a 3.5-day week? Yes, I would. But we don't get that option.
We don't get half days. No, that's nonsense. But we do get the school holidays, and they can be... I mean, often we do some work during the school holidays. I'm not saying that, but they're generally seen as quite a good thing. In addition, while there are challenges in the classroom, outside of school hours, there are as many challenges. Okay, so we're going to go through what those 10 challenges are. Yeah. So let's not second guess them at this stage.
No.
While the rewards outweigh the challenges, it's still important to understand teachers' roles and the problems they overcome. I thought this was aimed at teachers, but now it says it's important to understand teachers' roles and the problems they overcome. Suggests this is aimed at somebody who's not a teacher who just needs to understand. So I don't know.
I mean, is there much call for a guide from people who are not teachers to imagine what the problems or the challenges of teaching were and exactly how to overcome them?
I'd be surprised. But here it is. Look, this list is for them as well as it is for us. Okay, so that's good.
So main audience teaching, but could be another audience. Could be anybody.
Could literally be anybody. Just wants to understand.
Just wants to understand the teacher.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Right. So. Now, obviously, these are titles, as with lots of our lists, it's a title followed by a bit more. Now, I'm not going to read it all verbatim, but if you want some more, I'll read the title. If you want me to explain more, because you haven't fully understood it. So, number 1, understanding the different learning challenges amongst students.
Yes. Yeah, okay. That's not my honest response, and I try to give an honest response to everything, is that seems to me to be reasonable. But I would ask you, it's not quite phone a friend, but if you could flesh that out.
You want a bit more, because what do they mean by learning challenges amongst the students? Right, okay. So regardless of the class or students you're teaching, there will always be a diverse set of learning abilities that demand your attention.
Yeah.
I wouldn't phrase it like that, but fair enough so far. Given that there are 8 learning styles.
Where they get this.
Exactly 8. A teacher has to think outside the box when it comes to meeting the needs of each of their learners.
So whole population across the globe.
There's 8 learning
divides
styles.
Into 8.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Different teaching strategies satisfy and stimulate learners in various ways. And as a teacher, you're required to put in extra hours and effort to meet their needs. Yeah. However, once a teacher develops these strategies, they're rewarded with empowered and thriving learners.
How does that get us over?
I don't think it does. Can
you just rewind a little bit? I think I missed the solution there. Where is the solution?
Let me read that to you again. So we've established the problem, different learning styles, right? Different teaching strategies satisfy and stimulate learners in various ways. And as a teacher, you're required to put in extra hours and effort to meet their needs.
So extra hours and effort, a non-specified number of hours and an unspecified level of effort, other than it seems to be quite a lot of effort.
Yes.
That is their solution. I don't know how that passed me by. It was so quick. It came out of your mouth like a bullet out of a gun.
Yeah.
It passed me by. So I'm glad I asked you to rewind.
Well, it's good. It's good that you did.
That is a very well articulated problem with a ludicrous answer.
Yeah. Yes. It doesn't
unhelpful.
It doesn't touch upon what the 8 learning styles are.
I think that's for another podcast.
And I printed those out for another podcast. Number 2, remembering that the title is The 10 Challenges and How to Overcome Them. Student family problems and bullying.
Student family challenges isn't particularly funny. Why are you laughing at that? Family challenges.
No, this is one title. You've not heard me because I started...
Well, you didn't complete it. You just started laughing.
The fact that I exploded into laughter before finishing should give you an indication that you need to be listening to the whole thing here. Okay. So, number 2.
Yeah.
Student family problems and bullying.
Why are you laughing at bullying?
Because it's not the same as... So, student family problems
It's got nothing to do with bullying, has it?
and bullying are presented as one problem.
I mean, two huge areas lumped together into one. We've had this with lists before, haven't we?
They both deserve a place on the list. Right, so the solution.
Solution, yeah. I'm all ears.
Because teachers work closely with vulnerable groups and children, they must complete an enhanced DBS-check.
Look, I know they've got to shoehorn in the DBS check, but I think it just feels like their family problems and all bullying is going to be solved by the completion of a DBS check. But they weren't suggesting the teacher was bullying them, were they? Or causing family problems?
I don't think so, no. I think they existed outside of the teachers. So, the teacher's there to support, and they can't do that without a DBS check. Well, you can't work as a teacher if you haven't got a DBS check. So
you can't go unaccompanied to a toilet in a school without a DBS check.
Number 3, lack of funding. Now, fair enough. I'm not even no questions there. That's absolutely exactly right. There is a lack of funding in education. One of the current education issues facing teachers today is the lack of funding. Unfortunately, unless you are working at a private school, public or independent schools across the country, unless you are working at a private school, public or independent schools across the country often encounter issues with funding. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because it's suggesting that private schools are different to public and independent schools, which they're not. And I think what they mean is state schools are. But they haven't said that. Anyway, that's just me being pedantic, and I'm known for it. When schools encounter budget issues, the first step is to reduce pupil-to-teacher ratio, which directly impacts... I don't think it's the first step, but it's potentially it's a natural consequence, maybe.
The first step is to reduce pupil-to-teacher ratio.
I don't think that's what happens. No,
it isn't.
But sometimes perhaps it does affect recruitment, which then may have that result, which directly impacts the scholars' learning. It says the scholars. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's someone.
Touch of the Edens there, isn't it?
Someone's found a thesaurus, haven't they?
Yeah.
Teachers face a growing number of students per class, which prevents them from providing crucial one-to-one attention. The result is lower student achievement and satisfaction. Now, the reason I'm laughing is because that's the end of that section.
What?
Now, the title did promise problems and how to overcome them.
Well, the problem's shared. So that they've halved it, but they haven't provided the other half, which was the solution.
They've not provided any solution. It's just 2 badly written paragraphs explaining there's not enough money in schools. And
absolutely, because I had my notebook out there, and I was thinking, goodness me, if we've happened on a list here where they've solved the school funding crisis, then I'm gonna. I don't mind telling you, I would have ripped it off and tried to pretend it was my own.
Number 4. Now you'll agree with this one. I'd agreed with this one. I'm just reading the title.
Well, I've agreed with all of them so far. Just
depressing.
The solutions have not been
lack of effective communication.
Right. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I think sometimes that can be a problem when you're working in education. Communication isn't always effective as you'd like it to be, and sometimes it can lead to misunderstandings, and it can lead to pressures that you don't necessarily. If people communicate, but that's fine. Let's see if that's what they mean and what their solution is. So, every year, students are faced with the daunting task of communicating their needs to teachers. That's not what I'd understood by it.
No.
Okay, right.
No, go back to the title again.
Lack of effective communication. What they're saying is...
Lack of effective communication. Oh, they mean from students to their teachers.
Yes.
I don't think that's what most of our listeners were assuming that meant.
No,
and it certainly wasn't what I was assuming it meant.
No, so they mean...
So lack of effective communication from the scholars...
We're effectively blaming the kids for lack of effective communication.
Right.
I think that's massively... That was an issue that they could have got right, and they've massively got wrong. Okay. So some kids have a natural knack for it. They can talk about what they want engagingly and get what they need, but many find themselves struggling to communicate effectively with their teachers. Now, this is true, but it's not. That's the wrong title. Anyway, it says the solution is, as the wiser of the bunch... It literally says that. As the wiser of the bunch, teachers need to build trust with their students and work on their communication skills every day.
Work on their communication skills every day.
Now, are they working on their own communication skills or working on the students' communication skills? It's not clear from that.
Please.
Scholars, yes. You are building an effective communication channel not only between yourself and your students, but also their parents. That's just an aside they've thrown in at the end there. There's nothing about the parents till that last.
So point 1 solution was work harder.
Work harder.
Point 3, no solution. Just lack of funding is a problem.
Point 2, get a DBS-check.
Point 2, get a DBS-check. And point, what was it? 4?
Yeah.
4 is work on the children's communication skills.
That will solve the lack of effective communication. But no, work on their skills, and there's something in there about their parents, but it's not really clear what the parents, because the parents weren't mentioned till the last sentence. So I'm unclear why the parents have suddenly been sort of shoehorned into this. But
oh my goodness me!
I think we felt, both of us, that lack of effective communication was talking about communication between
Within
teachers,
school.
within schools, sometimes from local authorities to schools, sometimes from government to schools.
Yes,
that's what we were thinking about, but not blaming the kids at all. But that's
dear.
Anyway, I mean, as I say, children's inability to communicate well is an issue. It just comes under a different title. Number 5. This is the title: being encouraging and motivating under challenging times. It's badly worded.
They've certainly got an idea of what some of the challenges
So
would
like
be. I'm
that-
not sure. I think the last one, if they hadn't mentioned children, would have been accurate.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, it was just the title was, but then they've sort of
Yeah.
poorly explained it. So this one, again, I think badly worded: being encouraging and motivating under challenging times is not a well-written headline, but ultimately it's that Monday morning feeling when you come in, you're not feeling it, and you've got to suddenly turn it on, switch it on, and be there for the kids. That can be challenging and something that, So let's see how they've explained it and what their solution is.
Right.
So
Okay.
the school year is dotted with exciting learning activities and adventures for pupils throughout the year. And most of the year is going to be spent bonding with your students. There will be times when you need to motivate your students through the treacherous parts of the year. Okay.
Again, treacherous. Sort of feels ever so Shakespearean to me.
This is oscillated between being badly written and using some quite flowery language. High school students are bombarded with exams and excitement and assignments that their futures depend on. Preschool students, on the other hand, have to overcome challenges such as pen grips and ball skills. So both age groups need a supporting shoulder from a teacher who they can trust. The treacherous times of year for high school, secondary age students: exams, assignments.
Yeah.
And the treacherous time of year for preschool students is when they have to learn how to grip a pen. Is that a specific time of year? I don't know. I don't work in that sector, but I would have thought that's not defined by a particular time of year.
And I wouldn't describe it as treacherous either.
Dan,
Is that it?
That's it. That's the
There's
end.
no solution provided.
It's not even really a problem there, is there?
No.
Again, I agreed with the actual kind of sentiment of the actual title. There are times where it's difficult to be encouraging and motivating when you're not feeling... But that's not what it says, does it?
No.
It's not talking about how teachers sometimes... We're human
And you're
beings.
not going to find it difficult to get motivated because you are having to show a child how to hold a pen.
No. Or actually to help them pass an exam.
No.
That's kind of what you are motivated by a lot of the time, is trying to help them to succeed. So what is difficult, I think, as a teacher, is sometimes you've had a bad day yourself. Number 6... Now, again, we're going to agree with the title: disciplining students. I don't
like the title.
Don't like the title. I don't like the way it's worded. But
well, we don't like the way any of it's worded.
no.
I don't.
But
think.
in terms of the idea of behaviour management, I suppose is what I'm hearing here. And behaviour management obviously is a challenge in schools. It's well documented.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult sometimes, and that's one of the reasons teachers leave the profession, is because they found that aspect of it quite challenging. So let's see how they've solved it for us. So obviously they're going to present the problem in a bit more detail. Disciplining students is a challenge in the classroom and can be a timely, emotionally taxing process. I don't think they meant timely there. That's the wrong use of that word. So while you're guaranteed to have delightful children in your class...
I don't think that's guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. But
I can certainly think of some classes.
I've encountered
I don't
classrooms,
think I would say
they're all delightful, or any of them.
Any of them were delightful. So it's by no means a guarantee.
But I'd say it's fair to say that, most of the time there are some students who would genuinely use the word delightful if you use words like delightful, which I don't tend to.
I don't either, but I know what you mean.
So
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. It's not a word that's in my regular vocabulary, but I understand what it means.
Yeah.
While you're guaranteed to have delightful children in your class, it's not uncommon that you'll encounter students who lack good manners and are disrespectful. Now, that's true. That's absolutely true.
Absolutely, yeah.
Disrespectful students can kill your love of teaching. But you also have to be careful in the way you go about dealing with disruptions and disciplining students.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Ways to implement the lack of manners in your classroom is to implement justified consequences, get to the root of the problem, get the parents involved, and create intervention plans.
Yes, it's not a solution to indiscipline. It is a long list of tasks which will take an inordinate amount of time to complete and probably won't provide a great deal of satisfaction.
Realistically, the way to solve these problems is to work in a school where there are established systems to support you to do that. If you, as a teacher, have to do all of this all on your own, you're not going to be very successful. Right, okay, let's look at number 7. Endless paperwork and extended working hours. Again, it sounds reasonable. There's a lot of paperwork attached to the role these days, and we do find ourselves working beyond what many people would think are the established working hours. If you remember anything from your school years, it's the fact that teachers were always up to their necks in marking and grading papers.
It's all I can remember from my school.
I don't remember that at all from my school days. I certainly, I wouldn't want to say that teachers weren't doing that when I was in school. I don't know.
It's not an overwhelming memory.
I don't remember them doing it because I didn't care when I was a student in a school. I wasn't interested at all in what they were doing. Anyway, but it says, if you remember anything from your school years, it's the fact teachers are always up to their necks in marking and grading papers, and sick days aren't always an option. Yeah, fair enough. That's true. Sometimes it's easier to come in when you're sick. Unfortunately, marking papers isn't a task performed during teaching hours, which often leaves teachers marking once the day has ended. Well, again, there's a lot of truth in that. Paperwork involves accounting for the growth of your students by tracking their progress throughout the year. Badly worded, but fair enough.
Yep.
In addition to teaching notes, individual evaluations need to be recorded. Don't understand what that sentence is saying. And this is a task.
And it's rubbish as well.
It's nonsense. But basically, there's no solution again. Extended working hours is the solution to extended working hours.
Extended working hours is the solution to that. And not only that, you need to mark all the stuff and then make some evaluative comments as well.
So the problem is endless paperwork and extended working hours, and the solution is extended working hours. Now, you might wonder, having heard number 7, what number 7 was about.
Yeah.
You probably are now going to wonder what on earth number 8 is about that's different to number 7.
Right.
Because number 8 is time management.
Well, they've already told us to manage our time by allocating more time to
Yes. And I think several of the points, and certainly point 7, which has immediately preceded point 8, is talking about time management. But
yes.
Now it's presented as a different problem. Okay, so teaching is a job that needs you to be on your feet all day, and there's often little time for rest. So on top of being on your feet, you need to be keeping busy bees' minds active.
Oh, gosh. I hate it.
Is this pitched at secondary, primary, early years? It doesn't say.
I don't think it matters who it's pitched at.
But I've certainly
patronising nonsense.
I've never referred to my students as busy bees.
Absolutely not.
This is a good sentence too. Creating creative ways to keep little ones entertained is vital to making your job as a teacher easier. This is where planning and time management comes into play. I'm glad they have brought it into play because I had no idea what any of this had to do with this is where planning and time management comes into play. As with high school scholars, time management involves designing a stimulating schedule and covers the year's work without flying past content. I don't think any of that made any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's highly, highly irritating. You don't think they've done a deal with that stationery provider, do you? This lot? Because
no, I'm going back to that stationery provider list with sort of nostalgia, rose-tinted glasses, because whatever you'd like to say about that list, and it was appalling, it was quite well written.
Yes, it was well written. This is not, is it?
In fact, I think this is what tells us it wasn't written by AI, because frankly, AI does better with the syntax than these people have managed. Number 9, again, we seem to have left the UK, because number 9 says pressure from school administrators.
That is definitely American.
Now, in America, the school administrator, I believe, is the senior leadership team.
Yes.
Now, in the UK, a school administrator would be someone who works in the admin team, and they don't put any pressure on us. No. As a general rule, they're invaluable. They're not putting any pressure on us. We need them. We put pressure on them, if anything.
Absolutely.
So it's a weird one to be in a UK list, but there you go. But I think they are talking about SLT. is what they're talking about. They're talking about senior leadership. Teaching has become a super competitor industry. That's right. It says not competitive, competitor industry,
right,
which requires teachers to be thinking out of the box constantly. Competition applies to those in the school, with a lot of teachers feeling as though they need to achieve greater things each year. On top of the competition, teachers are solely responsible for a student's development, growth indicators, and disciplinary factors. These factors put a lot of pressure on teachers' shoulders. Now, that's a badly written problem, which doesn't have any solution to it. I haven't been helped to overcome the pressure from my school administrators in that, but equally, I'm not sure what the pressure is either, based on that sentence, that paragraph.
Something tells me they're not sure what the pressure is. They're just assuming there will be one.
There is pressure in schools, and often it does come from top down, from leadership onto, and some of that pressure is justified, and sometimes that pressure can be a reflection of the pressures on the leadership team. And maybe sometimes it's passed on too readily, and that's sort of, I think that's not just teaching. I imagine that's most areas where there's any form of hierarchy.
Yes, which is almost everything.
Which is pretty much all industries you could work in. So not unique to schools, and that badly worded and no solutions. Number 10 is burnout.
Oh, gosh,
again, that happens. You hear about it. So, if this was just a list of titles, we'd have interpreted them very differently and possibly gone, that's quite a sensible list.
Yeah, it is.
Apart from number 2, which combines 2 very serious problems as one throwaway problem. Right, so number 10, burnout. It's no secret that teaching can be a demanding profession.
That's for sure.
That's not what they said at the start, though.
No, if you recall, thoroughly rewarding.
They said at the start that people don't understand what a demanding profession it is. So they've pivoted from before point 1 in their introduction, where they said no one understands how demanding it is, to saying
to point 10, we're assuming that everyone does.
It's no secret.
Yeah.
With the constant pressure to produce great results, it's not uncommon for teachers to experience burnout. But how do you know when you're suffering from the condition? Hold on, a solution seems to be presenting itself here.
It does. It's emerging from the mist.
Here are some signs of burnout in educators.
Right.
Feeling drained after working on lesson plans or grading papers.
Yeah.
Okay, just those 2 though. Yeah. No other activity can, But if you feel drained after working on lesson plans or after grading papers, that's a sign of burnout. Okay.
But if I felt stressed out because I'd had a late night rehearsal, that's not
a sign of burnout. If you've been working with a challenging class and they've left you feeling burnt out, that's not a sign of burnout.
No. What about writing a programme of study?
No, it's specifically
lesson plans
and grading papers. Marking papers, we call it in this country, though, not grading them.
Correct. Right.
Here's some other signs of burnout that you might find.
Have GPs got this as a sort of quick reference guide?
We need to. Dreading going into work every day.
Yeah.
If you dread going into work every day, that might be a sign of burnout.
Yeah, could be.
Possibly. Wishing you could leave your job.
Yeah.
And find something else to do with your life. Signs of burnout there for you. Well, the solution, though, is... No, that's it. That's all they've written.
So the list finishes dead there.
Yeah, there's not even a conclusion. Now, often these lists do then have a little summary, a little conclusion to say, you've read through all our points, here's some here's some takeaways for you, summarising what you've read. But this list ends dead at the end.
Ends dead and doesn't even say, for help with none of the above, apply for a DBS-check.
Well, that's the bell, and that presents us with the challenge of how to end the show.
Well, I think that's quite easy, really.
How are you going to do it this week, then?
No, I've got a 10-point list of how we could end the show.
Or we could just say goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye.